welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with Daniel.
And Daniel.
And today, take a guess what today is.
Board Game Breakdown.
Board Game Breakdown, you're very close. Nope. You lose. Good day, sir. No, today's a top 8 debate. Today's Friday. We are going to be talking about our top 8 ranked on Board Game Geeks for whatever category that we chose for this week. And we're going to debate to decide empirically, scientifically based, completely in no way inaccurate, based on our opinions, which game is the best. This was a cool one. We're going to have a big variety of games here. This one is the top 8 debate, ranked 1,000 plus on Board Game Geek. Meaning anything that's ranked from number 1, Gloomhaven, to number 1,000, which I don't know off the top of my head, will be eliminated from that. And we took the top 8 debate.
Everything under 1,000.
So
we're debating.
Yep. Now I haven't confirmed if all of the ones that are honorable mentions are 1,000 plus. I suppose we could, but that would just take a long time, and we'll just take your word on it. Well, I know yours are, but what I'm saying is the honorable mentions from our viewers on the votes.
Yes, we're going to take their word for that, because I do not. There's a lot of games and their honorable mentions that I don't want to dig for. I know one of them for sure is, because it was on my short list.
Yeah. And so, how did you come up with your honorable mentions?
I went through a couple pages of under 1,000. I came up with 7 games, and then I picked the 3 that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Honestly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and a couple I think you might pick up. I know one of them is... where is it here? I saw one on the list here that is talked about twice that might not be on the list, but we'll count it because it's two different. It's the same game, they spelled it 2 different ways.
Yeah. So we'll just combine the votes. Yeah, my honorable mentions, the way I came up with those is I really just went the ones that are ranked the highest below 1,000 and took the ones that either didn't make the cut or you haven't played, and or at least the ones that I feel like I genuinely liked.
Yeah, that's what I did. Like I said, I came up with 7. I took off a couple because they might be on your list. If not, then maybe I'll give them a little bit of a shout out. But
okay. And
then out of what I left, so 2 of those I took out just in case they're on your list. But out of the 5 I have left, I just picked my favorites out of there. Out of those 5.
Yeah, that's a good reason. So let's explain how we normally pick these lists. First, we ranked every board game on Board Game Geek. Went to page, I guess it was probably about like page
9, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
Or 10, 9 or 10, because I think it's 100 per page when you go into the all board games ranking.
Yeah, so then it would be page 10, and then we took those, and we took the top 8 that you and I have both played. That's a very important key thing, because if one of us hasn't played it, then we can't make a solid argument for it. It wouldn't be fair to the other games. So I didn't write down their actual ranking value, but you put their ranks, right?
Yes, of our top 8, I didn't put my honorable mention rankings, but out of our top 8, I have their individual rankings on BGG.
Cool, then we'll get into that then. All right, do we want to talk about... We posted a poll on the Board Game Revolution group on Facebook, and I posted the 8, and then I always allow other people to add on their own. Yeah, some of these are surprising to me, actually. But
yeah. Again, we don't know for sure if they're under 1,000 on BGG. We're just trusting what these people put in the poll themselves.
Yeah.
And we also have some comments as well.
Yeah, and I can... You know, one thing that I believe is that some of these are probably ranked under 1,000 right now because they're so new, and then that they're climbing drastically. So who knows? They might not even be under 1,000 by the time that we're recording this.
That is true. Or when people see it up on the re-upload on YouTube or the audio version.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
We film these about 1 to 2 weeks ahead of when they get released for YouTube and audio podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go through those. The number 1 voted by the users was Black Rose War with 13 votes.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard of this one, to be honest.
Nor have I, to the point where I'm going to go on Board Game Geek real quick and take a look at it. But yeah,
Okay.
I've never heard of this. Apparently, it's a well-loved game with being 13 votes here.
Yeah.
And
I bet you it's a Kickstarter, though.
it could be.
Yeah, it's very likely. We'll see. We'll see very soon once he pulls this up, and I am just filling time with talking.
2019. It has to be a Kickstarter because there was like a bunch of expansions with it at the same time.
Gotcha.
So apparently it is ranked 1035. Cast spells in combat other mages to become ruler of the mysterious lodge. So it's got an interesting cover. It's pretty nice. There's some minis in it. There's a big board.
Check to see if it was campaigned. Funded.
Yeah, this has to be campaign. But just by looking like at the pictures of it, this has to be a campaign game. Let me. It is under the crowdfunding Kickstarter family. Yep. So it is a campaigned game here.
Mm-hmm. And see,
crowdfunding game is what I meant to say.
I bet you half of the ones that are on this list that are under 1,000 ranked are Kickstarters.
And this came out in well, it was Kickstarted in 2019. That's where it's ranked. I don't know if people have the game yet or if it's anticipated for them, so they want to put it up.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. Maybe.
Because
that's going to be our next topic later on our next Shits and Giggles. We're going to be talking about that.
Most anticipated, yep.
Yeah, so, all right. Our second one, do you want to take this one?
This one would be Madara.
Madara with 6 votes.
Yep. I'm trying to remember. I think I've played this one.
I know I have not. I've heard it's good, though.
No, I don't think I have played this one. A friend of ours has it. That's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Because isn't this one of the games that you wanted to buy?
I don't know. Is this the dexterity game? I think that there's... I'm thinking Minara, aren't I? I don't remember.
I think you are. I might be thinking Minara, too. Looks like it was a Kickstarter as well, from what I'm seeing here. There is a lot of Madaras on the list here, so let's just... I'm trying to be familiar with these games, like some of the ones that people are voted on here. So, this is Unintentional Madara, Sylvia, Dark Cultist. This is interesting. I've never heard of this game. I thought it was a different game. So, Madara Unintentional Malum, Act 1, which is a re-implementation of Madara Unintentional Malum, the rule book that they have on here. So there's apparently 3 different acts to this game. It looks like it's a massive, massive game. To the fact where it has 3 acts to it in board game form.
Yeah.
Act 1 was released in 2019 and was a Kickstarter game.
There you go.
It's a narrative-driven campaign that contains over 90 hours of combat that has a unique dice-based success system featuring multiple dice that players can upgrade throughout the campaign.
Oh, wow.
Also looks interesting. This actually got me intrigued a little bit.
All right, we'll put it on the back burner. We got a lot to talk about. Our next one is The Reckoners. I'm skipping the one that was voted in our top 8.
Well, no, you missed one that isn't in our top 8.
Fireball Island?
No, Castles of Burgundy, the dice game.
That has 4 votes. Reckoners has 4 votes.
Well, on my list, the Castles of Burgundy's ahead of the Reckoners.
Oh, silly Facebook. Sure. It's basically Gloomhaven. Oh, hey, a 3. It's like Gloomhaven, basically RPG combat, multiple maps. Oh, cool. Awesome. All right. The Reckoners is the next one that shows on mine. I don't remember. We didn't play this one, right?
Yeah, we have.
Which one was this? I think we started playing it.
Well, maybe you haven't played it. I have played it with Dom and Bryce, I think.
Yeah.
I know
it's a Kickstarter.
It's a game based off a series of books by Brandon Sanderson. It's very combat heavy with dice. You're all working as a team to take down a supervillain who So in this one, it's kind of like superheroes with its head flipped. So the
Right.
supervillains are the bad guy, or the heroes are the bad guys, the ones with the powers, and you're normal humans
Uh,
trying to take them down. And so you're working as a team to try to take over a city, as well as taking down that villain and trying to win areas. And it's tough, and I've never beaten it.
wow. Okay. Yeah, I remember I've seen the box. I just don't think I've played it. It has really
Yeah,
nice trays for the player boards, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
very nice trays.
I have seen it.
I do like the game. I had a good time with it. I'm a big fan of the series of books that it's based off of, so
Okay,
that helps a little bit.
that makes sense. And our next one, do you want to take this one?
Oh, Castles of Burgundy, the dice game.
Yep. Yeah,
So
we
I
need to
do
play
enjoy
this online.
This is a really nice implementation of a roll and write of a already established game.
Hmm.
I actually really enjoy it. I played it solo a handful of times. It's fun. I really like it. The wood dice are nice, and it comes in a nice little small box.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The next one that our viewers voted for with 3 votes is The River by Days of Wonder. Finally, the first non-Kickstarter.
Yeah, I haven't played this one. Just looking at it and some of the reviews, it just did not hit my want list, and that's saying something because I really enjoy Days of Wonder games.
Yeah, the designer of it, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I remember I was looking through a lot of Board Game Geek pages, and I found out that it's a designer I'm starting to follow more. And yeah, it's a very simple game. I think everybody's review is kind of like, well, it's simple. That's it.
Yeah, I think the thing is it's too simple, especially after it's a follow up to Five Tribes and Yamatai,
Right.
and then you go to the river, and people are like, "Well, but these were like heavier and fun. Why
Yeah.
are we going backwards?" I
Yeah.
guess what people are saying.
Exactly.
All right, so the next one on my list is Inuit, the Snowfolk.
Okay.
And so I have no clue what this one is. I've looked it up. It looks like it is a strategy game of drafting and tableau building for 2 to 4 players.
And that only has 1 vote on yours?
That only has 1 vote on mine, yeah.
Okay, because that means that you skipped over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of mine, or 8. So the ones that had higher votes, there's Atlantis Rising. Oh no, that's one of ours. Yep, never mind. Nope, you're right. Anyway. And then the ones with 1 vote, the next one I have is Marrakesh, which I love Marrakesh. It's such a good game.
Marrakesh is such a good game.
Whoever put that in, I completely agree. In fact, I'm going to vote for it as well. All right.
Now that it doesn't count?
Now that it doesn't count, because now we have the notes for it.
Marrakesh is the carpet game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I really dig the game.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And Inuit does look cool. It's just I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, same with me. So a lot of the games that they're actually posting here, I haven't heard of or played.
Right.
So you want to talk about Marrakesh real quick?
Yeah. Basically, the idea is that you are playing as rug traders. You have rug tiles that take up 2x1 space, and so basically like a domino tile of your color. On your turn, you move the main pawn around the board. You can turn him left or right if you want to, but then you roll a die that rolls anywhere between 1 and 4. He will move along that path, and any rugs he lands on, that player will have to pay the owner of the rugs. So if I roll it and it lands on your rugs, then I pay you 1 coin for every square that area covers. Then at the end of the game, you add up all the spaces that you have covered and all your coins. Whoever has the most coins wins. But what makes it cool is that after you move the character pawn, you lay down one of your rugs, and that might cover up opponent's rugs. And so you have this beautiful aesthetic, and it's actually fabric cloths as your pieces. It's wonderful. It's really fun.
I do dig this game a lot. To the point where I wouldn't mind playing it again. I really had a good time last time we played it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the pieces are just phenomenal. It's
And
by
I'm surprised
Zhiganek.
that it's under 1,000 because a lot of people have been finding out about it because of an anime.
Yes, yeah, that was like one of the first ones that they played on it. That's one of
Yeah.
the reasons I watched the anime, actually. The anime, it's okay. The after school Girls After School Board Game Club, I think is
Something like
After School
that,
Dice
yeah.
Club. It was okay. If you like board games and you want to point them out, then it's awesome. Yep, exactly. I3 echoed our opinion. Absolutely, that's how I knew about it before because I like Ziggurat games a lot, and they make like Quarto, Corridor, and a lot of the wooden pretty games. But they're actually really solid.
I wouldn't consider abstract strategies pretty games, but sure. There's an exception to that rule, and that's Santorini.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's more
Akago
thematic.
Sakura Club.
Yeah, that's the one. All right, the next one is...
I have on my list is Rorik, Dawn of Kiev.
Yeah, Dawn of Kiev. Now, I've seen it recently. I think it's a Kickstarter. I don't know anything about it.
I know nothing about this game.
So, enlighten us. The next one I have on my list is Porta Nigra.
Okay. Nothing about. Again, another one I don't know anything about.
I know what the cover looks like. That's about it, because I see it on sale from time to time.
So the next one that's on my list, I actually pulled up the BGG of it because I skipped ahead for some reason. And it's Master of Wills.
Okay.
And so, interesting to note, this is sitting at 7,283 on BGG.
Wow.
It looks like it's a card game with collectible components. It says over here. It's a distant future game where balance of power rests between opposing factions. You're manipulating and influencing the citizens of community in effort to join their side and vanquish the opposition. You use movement and control to turn tide against your opposition by expanding influence over the community. Power can be acquired. Choose a side and become the Master of Wills. It looks like it's a 1v1 or 2v2 kind of game.
Okay.
So it's 2 or 4 players from what I'm reading here.
2 or 4, yep. I know how that is. And
it says 2 to 4, but yeah, it's 2 or 4, honestly.
Yeah, it's the same as like most collectible card games at the time. You know, really it's a head-to-head battle. But you could play 4 players if you're sitting next to other players.
So it's got looks like a high rating score. It's 8.5 with 91 ratings. So
yeah,
it looks like it's okay. It looks like a tug-of-war style game with card play. So I don't know. I have enough card games to last me a lifetime, but this is an interesting one.
Yeah, cool. And the last one I think that we have on our list that was voted for with 1 vote was Petrichor.
Yep.
Which I now some of these I've just heard of and I know nothing about. I've legitimately not heard of this one.
So Petrichor looks like it came out in 2018.
Okay.
I'm trying to do Board Game Geek on the fly here.
There you go.
It has a 7 on BGG. It's ranked at 1,663. Has 1.3 thousand ratings.
Okay.
And Petrichor is an earthly scent produced when rain falls on dry soil. The word is constructed from Greek Petra, meaning stone, and ichor, the fluid that flows in the veins of the gods in Greek mythology.
Okay.
So it is a highly interactive board game, playable 1 to 4 people, up to 5 with an expansion. It's an action selection area influence game with 4 simple actions which interacts with various fields in ever surprising ways. Interesting.
Yeah.
So apparently you're moving clouds with water droplets, and then the rain those droplets onto specific fields to make sure they have the right amount of water for harvest. Huh.
Yeah, that does sound cool.
It looks kind of pretty. I'm looking at some of the pictures. It's kind of neat.
Was it crowdfunded?
It was. It was a Kickstarter game.
There you go. There's my theory going again. Well,
this one's a couple years, so I don't know how much further it's going to climb.
That's true.
But it's an Ape game published it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, they do good stuff.
Yeah,
all right.
So
then, all of the comments basically reflected a lot of the ones we talked about, but I do want to bring up one that Jonathan pointed out. Cosmic Encounter, the one that we are talking about, is specifically the older version, the 1977 version.
Yes.
Which you and I technically haven't played that version, but we do know the differences between them. I used to own the Mayfair version, the old school, worst components version. Yeah, that's probably up there for great games, worst components.
Yeah. When the 1977 version is better than the Mayfair version, that's saying something.
It is. Well, I mean, as far as components, definitely. Yeah, there's something about that version that's just, it was so god-awful. So, thank you to all of our voters. We had quite a few this time around, and a lot of interaction this time around as well. So, thank you for joining in on that.
Teaching us some games that we haven't heard of. That's
Yeah.
another reason why we kind of wanted to go under the 1,000 to see some of the games that we haven't played before, and I thought this would have been an interesting topic when it came to the votes and what people posted.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. All right. Let's talk about our honorable mentions. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Sure, I'll go ahead and go first.
All right.
So my first honorable mention here is one I most recently played and owned. I picked it up on a Cool Stuff Inc. sale that they were having, and it was $20, and I was pleasantly surprised of how much fun I had with that game. And we've talked about it before, Pioneer Days.
Yep.
I really, really do enjoy this game. To me, it brought out a lot of that Oregon Trail feel that I've been wanting in board games. So I really enjoyed it. Not much more to go on about it. We've talked about it ad nauseum before, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there.
That we have. Mine is one that we've never talked about before on our podcast that I'm aware of, and that's Murano. And that is about the city of Murano, designed by Inka and Marcus Brand, the award-winning, the Kennerspiel-winning Inka and Marcus Brand. Basically, the idea is that you are going to be building different types of trade buildings onto parts of the islands. The islands all have different sizes, and you have to build streets between them as well. But then you can gain control of the islands, and it all works off of a really neat giant rondel that goes around the perimeter of the board. So you can always move one of your pieces, but you can never move them past, I think, another player. So no matter what, you're going to be like kind of blocking each other as you're sailing these boats around the islands. It was a really fun one. I remembered enjoying it quite a bit. It just never got to the table, so I ended up getting rid of it. But it's definitely one that, if you like Euro games, it's worth looking into and giving a shot.
So I've looked up Pioneer Days. It's sitting at 1,202 on BGG, and Murano here is sitting at 1,018.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I just went right off to the top of the list.
Alrighty, so my next game is probably one of my favorite dexterity game. And it came out recently in, I want to say 2019, last year. I know that's when we played it. And that's Men at Work.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably an interesting take on a dexterity game because you're trying to place these things on there, trying to balance beams on characters, one or two, or wood, and there's a lot going on in it. I really did enjoy it when we played it. It's a fun take on a dexterity game. It's the adult version of, say, like a Rhino Hero stacking style dexterity game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really demented. I mean, the idea of like people falling off of girders and you're like, oh
Yeah.
no. Like, and what I like about it a lot, that a lot of other dexterity games don't do, is when stuff falls, it's the next person's problem. Like
Yeah.
sure, you lose your license, that's fine, but you got to clean up the mess. I love that part. That's so good.
Another thing, it's ranked at 1,177 on Board Game Geek.
Oh, very cool. All right, mine is a two-player game that just came out fairly recently, and I think it's really going to jump up above the 1,000 pretty quick. It is Mandala.
And this is why I didn't put it on my list, because I figured it was going to be on yours.
Yeah, no, it was super cool. Like, I there was hype going into it. I loved the cover. I remember seeing it, and I saw the reviews of it, and everything else that started building up more, until finally Shut Up and Sit Down did their best two-player games, and yeah, it was phenomenal. That's when I had to order it, and I'm glad we played it. It's really great. For those of you,
it's sitting at 1,051 on BGG,
Yep.
And I think it's going to keep climbing.
oh,
and
it's
climbing.
definitely gonna. Yeah, that was the lowest of the three that I picked. And that one, I mean, I know it's going to climb up. I think the only reason it hasn't climbed as much as it has or could is because of how few were printed. I mean, it's really just a deck of 6 cards, 6 different types of cards. That's it. But the back and forth, the strategic play that you do, it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I did enjoy it playing it. It's a fun little two-player game. However, it's a fun little two-player game, and that's not something I'm going to get to the table a lot, especially since
Yeah.
my wife doesn't play a lot of board games like she used to. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason why I haven't picked it up. I enjoyed it when we played it. It was a fun time. It's not a long game either. It doesn't
No.
overstay its welcome, and it's gorgeous. And the player mat, that little
That cloth thing, yeah.
that claw thing, yeah, that's pretty neat.
Awesome. Cool.
All right, so my last honorable mention here was a game created in 2016. It's sitting at 1,147 on Board Game Geek, and it's a re-implementation of another two-player game called Tides of Time. The one I'm going with is Tides of Madness.
Yep.
I really enjoyed this one. I like the going mad, I guess you can say, on the cards and stuff like that. I actually prefer this one over Tides of Madness.
No.
It's just a bunch of cards. You're trying to get the set amount of areas. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, Tides of Madness was cool. I like Tides of Time also as well. It's a surprising two-player drafting game.
Yeah.
And speaking of two-player games, I'm going to go something completely different. It's a two-player game from Cosmos and their two-player line. And I don't know what this is ranked or even what year it came out. I think it's like 2001. It's one of the older ones. And that is Kahuna. Now, you have not played Kahuna, right?
That's the one with the hand on it, right?
Yes.
You're like bridging across the
across the islands?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like you have.
Yeah, no, yeah, you own a copy. You made me play it.
I made you play it, yeah. I mean, it's true. I probably did. I adore this game. I love how when you play a card and you build, a bridge onto that island, how you can destroy other people's bridges. When you gain majority, you gain control of the island, and every opponent's bridge gets destroyed, which can cause like a cascading thing. They can lose majorities in other ones, and it's basically just whoever has the most control at the end of each round. But it also has a really interesting scoring mechanism because the very first round, it's 1 point to whoever has the most islands. Second round, it's 2 points. And then the last round, it is the difference of how many islands the most owns compared to the other. So, for example, if you controlled 6 islands and I controlled 3 of them, and I won the first 2 rounds, well, then now we're tied. Because you now have 3. I think that's awesome, and I really enjoy that little factor because the whole game builds up to that point.
Yeah.
So I love Kahuna. It's one of my favorite games as far as two-player goes. Maybe we should do a two-player list. I would like that.
I don't know if I played enough two players to make a top 8. I've gotten close. I know I'm close, but I don't know if I could do honorable mentions and stuff like that.
We'll have to try. We'll have to look at it.
Yeah, and so for the answers to some of the stuff you were saying earlier, it's ranked 1,076 on BGG, and it was made in 1998.
1998.
That's what it's saying on here. Yeah.
22 years later, and it's holding strong.
Yeah, some people like it, some people don't. But
yeah, hey, that's fine. Yeah, you don't really like it that much, I remember.
It was okay. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, it was okay for what it was.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then let's get into the debate. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back just so we can pause the recording, and we'll get into the quarterfinals.
Alrighty.